Can everybody hear? Good morning, I'm Sherry Williams. I'm the president and CEO of Prevent Blindness, which is a member of the Ohio Fireworks Safety Coalition. I'd like to thank everybody for being here today and helping spread the word about the dangers that passage of Senate Bill 386 poses to Ohioans. A possible vote is scheduled on the bill tomorrow in the House Health and Aging Committee, and if passed, is expected on the House floor before adjournment of this lame duck session tomorrow. Joining me today is Betty Montgomery, the Prevent Blindness Board of Directors Chair, Gary Smith, representing Nationwide Children's Hospital, the Ohio Children's Hospital Association, and the Ohio chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Lieutenant Dave Belcher is another speaker representing the Ohio Fire Officials Association. Brian Quinn is here, the Chief of Police from the City of Upper Arlington, and Mark Vosselushin, who is the Wood County Sheriff. Also joining us are many partners that we have involved in this effort. We have John Wills from the Ohio Osteopathic Association. John, would you take a hand and raise it up? A cup of coffee. We have Jeff Young, who is the fire chief for the City of Upper Arlington. And did I miss any other of our partners that are here? If so, speak up. The Ohio Fireworks Safety Coalition is composed of over 20 statewide and regional organizations representing public health, medicine, safety, law enforcement, and businesses, all dedicated to educating the public about the dangers of backyard fireworks. Senate Bill 386 lifts the ban on the discharge of backyard fireworks like bottle rockets, Roman candles, and missiles that has been in place in Ohio for decades. Advocates for child safety, fire prevention, law enforcement, and public health are all alarmed by how quickly this bill has moved through the General Assembly. Since the bill's introduction just a few weeks ago, hundreds of Ohioans have registered their opposition to legislators via email, letter, phone calls, and witness testimony in the Senate and House of Representatives. I brought along a stack of letters that have just come to Prevent Blindness, void of any of the other organizations that are involved. And the opposition is considerable. These are all letters that have gone to legislators from Prevent Blindness volunteers alone, not even counting the others. In contrast, the only public supporters of the bill have been members of the fireworks and pyrotechnic industry. The ramifications of passing this fireworks bill are considerable, and we urge the General Assembly to carefully consider both sides of this issue. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Gary Smith, the president of the Child Injury Prevention Alliance and the founder of the Center for Injury Research and Policy at the Research Institute at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Dr. Smith.
Good morning, everyone. As Sherry mentioned, I am at Children's Hospital, Nationwide Children's Hospital here in Columbus. I'm a pediatric emergency medicine physician with a background in public health. I'm also a professor of pediatrics, epidemiology, and emergency medicine in the Colleges of Medicine and Public Health at The Ohio State University. So as an emergency medicine physician, I headed up the emergency department at Nationwide Children's Hospital for about 8 years. I've worked in many large children's hospitals and trauma centers across the country. Over the past 30 years, I've treated many children with injuries, including those with consumer firework-related injuries. Back in 2001, I was the lead author of the policy statement of the American Academy of Pediatrics on firework-related injuries to children. I was also, around that time, the representative from the Academy that worked with the National Fire Protection Association to create the Alliance Against Consumer Fireworks. That coalition now is comprised of more than 20 national medical, public health, and fire organizations, all speaking out on a national level against the use of consumer fireworks. I've also conducted a lot of research in the area of injury, including large studies regarding firework-related injuries to children. So as someone that's been in this field for many years, one of the most important things, one of the most important messages that I could give you today is that there is no safe way to use consumer fireworks. Every type of legally available firework has been associated with serious injury or death. Back in 2006, we published a national study on firework-related injuries to children. This study included more than 85,000 children treated in U.S. emergency departments across the country during a 14-year period. And one of the most important findings of that study was that almost 1/4 of the children were bystanders. They weren't handling the firework. They were simply there as spectators. They were also disproportionately represented among those children that required admission to the hospital, account for about 1/3 of the admissions, which tells us that these injuries were not only frequent, but they were very severe. The take-home message from this is that simply being near someone using fireworks puts a child, or other individual for that matter, at serious risk of injury from the firework. And it dispels the myth that it's safe for children to watch as a parent handles backyard fireworks. These findings agree with another study that we did earlier, where we published a series of injuries of about 300 children who were treated in a large pediatric hospital in Kansas City over a 17-year period. The patients in that study were often very seriously injured. 11% were admitted to the hospital. 1 patient died. 5% went to the operating room. 10% had permanent long-term effects of their injury, including 2% with permanent vision loss. In that study, the injured child was a bystander in about 26% of the cases, which again agrees with the number from the other study I mentioned. This study also had an important additional finding, and that was adult supervision was present in 54% of the cases. That's to say that in more than half the time, an adult was right there at the moment of injury. And as a pediatric emergency medicine physician, I can tell you the words that I hear every time a parent brings in their child in agony following a firework-related injury, and they say, "Doctor, I was standing right there next to him. It happened so fast that by the time I could react, it was too late." Now let me assure you that these are good parents. They weren't negligent. They weren't mishandling the firework. They had simply believed the myth that these products could be used safely. So another important message: close parental supervision is not enough. The private use of fireworks is unsafe under any condition.